going to be doing a brake job on this 2007 STI in part 3 of getting this STI track ready for the upcoming season. And this is everything you're going to need to get a brake job done on your 2007 STI. First up, you're going to need a 12mm socket. This is going to be for your ABS lines. You're going to need a 17mm socket, 19mm socket, 19mm wrench, dead blow hammer, impact with wobble and extension, set of pliers, and a screwdriver. You're also going to need a set of brake pads. I'll link these below in the description. Also, a set of brake rotors, front and rear, as well as some PV blaster and Permatex antisieze. All right, so step one is actually going to be to get these calipers off the knuckle. So on the rear, it's going to be a 17mm socket. On the front, they're going to be 19mm. You might want to check this for your model year, but at least for the GD chassis, that's accurate. And technically I lied. First step is actually to get the wheels off. All right, the reason why I said you need extension, wobble bit, and big impact is on all of these bolts. It's a pretty well-known issue that the aluminum brake calipers and the hardened steel bolts end up seizing together over time. This is just a chemical reaction that happens. It's what happens when you have dissimilar metals together. And they're on there pretty tight. The torque spec should be something like 34 foot-pounds, but over time, you're gonna need this big impact to get them off. And word to the wise, I would actually order a helicoil kit ahead of time if you're working on an older STI like this 2007, because you probably will break a bolt and have to drill it out, or what is more common is you might rip the threads right out of the caliper as you're trying to get this out. And you can try using PV blaster, you can try using heat. It's kind of unavoidable. It's happened to me on this vehicle before, and I guess I just wanted to warn you ahead of time. If you do break a bolt, or if you do rip the threads out, don't panic. Just get a helicoil kit. I'll show you right now the one that you use for the fronts. It's a M12 by 1.5, and you should probably get, I believe, an M10 by 1.5 on the rears, but don't quote me on that. I've already zipped these off, and they were actually fairly well behaved because I've already been in here. So I'm just gonna loosen this up, and you're gonna want to remove the brake pads. I find that it makes it easier. And so once you get these out, just set them aside. Amazon guy's over there. Hopefully he's delivering my car parts. And on 2007s, and I think a lot of GD chassis, I'm not sure how it is for the modern cars, there's this bracket that has this kind of like weight on the end of it. This is a vibration dampener. It's meant to, I guess, reduce like brake squeal on your Brembos. I would keep it because if you don't, you run the risk of running these bolts too far in, and then that'll just scrape all alongside your brake caliper, or along your brake rotor. So this kind of sandwiches in front of the knuckle, and then the brake caliper is in the back of the knuckle, closest to the brake rotor. Yeah. So then you're gonna pull this out. And then I have a lug nut here, just so that when I go to take off this brake caliper, this brake rotor, it just doesn't fall on the floor and hit me in the foot. One hot tip for getting these rotors off is sometimes they're seized. You know, they get stuck onto the brake shoes, or somebody didn't put antisieze on the hub before they put the rotor on. You can get the front bolt from the ABS line on your front strut, and then that'll just thread right in to this caliper. or sorry, into this rotor. I keep calling it a caliper, it's a rotor. And you can just get an impact. Like so, and then just work it in, and that'll push the face of the caliper outwards, or sorry, of the rotor outwards, my bad. And then there are two, so you can just kind of work it in, and that should, yep, free it up. Little PV blaster goes a long way on these ones though. And as you can see, that lug nut came in handy, and so you can just pull it off nice and easy. If you don't have this, or if for some reason you don't have an impact that you can work this through, you can just use a dead blow hammer. That's why I kind of suggested that you use that. And just hammer away at it. I recommended a dead blow hammer just in case you want to reuse these rotors in the future, you don't ding them up. Mine, the reason why I'm replacing them is they still have a lip on them, and so that kind of causes a little bit of vibration when I'm braking really hard on track. And so I'm just gonna take these to the machine shop, get turned. But in the meantime, I'm gonna go put in brand new Brembo rotors onto this STI. Now we're on the front, so what we're gonna do is hold on, actually what we're gonna do is get a bucket so that you can put your rotor somewhere, so your brake caliper somewhere. And I'm gonna get my 19mm socket, or sorry, 19mm wrench, and I'm going to remove the bolts on the front here. I already broke them loose with my impact, so should be pretty easy. And again, this is a pretty straightforward job on an STI if everything comes off smoothly and you don't have any issues. But if, you know, your bolts get seized to your caliper, or you snap a bolt, that's when things get tough fast. And then you run into all these issues of like having to order new bolts and having to learn how to do a helicoil kit, which isn't that bad. I've done it on the front too already, and hopefully I'll be able to show you. And for everybody that says that a helicoil kit is not as strong as the original threads, I would say they're actually stronger because they're steel threads. And after, I think, 2 years and I don't know how many track days, maybe like 10, the brakes are as strong as ever. And they also come out pretty easy. See? No issues. So, I actually forgot to take the pads out of this one, so I'm going to do that right now in front of you. And to remove the brake pads on your STI, at least on the Brembos, they're just some cotter pins that hold these dowel pins in place. I think on STIs, the brakes are actually easier to do than on most cars because they're just on slide pins. It's nothing fancy. you do occasionally need to punch these out. And some guys, oh man, of course it gets hard as I'm like trying to do it live and show you how easy it is to remove these on an STI. So really what I'm going to do actually is just punch this out. There we go. And then remove this kind of, I guess, anti-brake knock or feedback knock or whatever, this anti-rattle pin. And then the bottom one actually comes out pretty easy too. Wow, these are stuck on there, huh? Wow, these don't really want to come out. As I say when I'm trying to show you how easy it is to get these out. Also, now is a good time to remove that 12mm bolt that holds your brake line in place to your strut, or in my case, my coilover. But these should just fall right out. Yeah, and what I'm trying to do is see if I can just show you where the helicoil kit is here. But yeah, I guess it's hard to see, but I guess I'll try and get you guys in here nice and tight. Zoom in. So there it is. I mean, you can see the helicoil right here where I've drilled it out and then inserted it, and the threads are fine, so I wouldn't stress about that. A little dirty, but they're fine. All right, and so now I'm just gonna use this right here to let me get you guys resituated. There we go. All right, and so right now this caliper kind of doesn't want to come on, or doesn't want to come off. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use my impact, and I'm going to work this in. So it didn't want to come out just then. Not a big deal. And boom. Came right out. And see, that lug nut come in very clutch. Just take this off, set it down. Boy. And honestly, this thing is not in bad shape. Very heavy, not in bad shape. It's got a little bit of a lip on it. It's got a little bit of, it's got some grooving, which, I expected. But I think it's about the right thickness, so I could get these turned and then reuse these for next season. And then, turn the other ones use those. And you can see somebody didn't put anti-seize on this last time. We'll make sure to do that this time. And I wanted to give you guys a better look at what a helicoil looks like on an STI. So as you can see, these bolts, you know, they're hardened steel. They did get rusty, but you can see inside right here, those shiny threads, that's a helicoil. That's a helicoil right there. And those threads look pristine after 3 years and like 15 track days. So for those that say that the threads on a helicoil are never gonna be as strong as the original threads and that you should just get new calipers, it's not true. Drill out the rotor, put in a helicoil. They'll probably outlast the bolts that you have on the car, as evidenced by the helicoil not rusting and the bolts rusting instead. And I just wanted to show you guys what it does look like when you snap a bolt on one of these rear calipers. So this is the rear caliper bolt, snapped on me once. And as you can see, I had to drill all the way straight through it. And I even broke a drill bit in there. Had to remove the whole caliper, drill it out, get a new bolt. But it's not that bad. You know, you kind of just got to remind yourself, worst case scenario, you're drilling out the bolts and you're putting helicoil in. That's why I suggest ordering a helicoil kit before you start this job if you haven't done the brakes on your STI before, because it is a very high possibility that those bolts will snap or that those threads will strip. And it's better to just be prepared and have a plan for when things do go wrong, not if they go wrong. And now we're bench side with the old parts and the new parts. Always important to compare both of them before you try and install them on your car. So the rear brakes, they're a little bit taller. That's to accommodate the parking brake. It looks like they're the same bolt pattern. They look like they're the same diameter. They look like they have the same finish. Switching on to the front rotors. This is my old one. You can see it's got this nice recess here. I see that same recess here. Looks like the same lug pattern, and they are the same diameter. All right, these look great. These are Brembo pads. These are Brembo rotors. These are the same ones that you would buy at the dealership, but they're just cheaper through Brembo. So let's go ahead, slap these on, and get them ready. I wasn't going to film myself putting these back on because it's the same as the removal, but I caught myself doing something really stupid, and I also wanted to share this really satisfying moment with you. So first of all, I was gonna just slap these on there without putting any anti-seize on. Really dumb. I was literally just complaining about that. So good thing you guys are here to watch me not do that. And just make sure I get it all up in there. Can never have too much anti-seize. Or I guess you can, but I won't. And then I wanted to show you this. The old rotor was just gross and it was hard to pull off, but this one, oh my gosh, just... Of course I struggled to put it on as I'm wanting to show you something satisfying, but now that I have it mounted on, just, oh, so easy. Like that was just very satisfying to watch. I really enjoyed that a lot. And now, what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna show you this little dance that you're gonna have to do. So you're gonna have to put this in front of the knuckle, and then you're gonna wanna attach this kind of this way to behind the knuckle. So this is closer to the differential. And again, what this does is it just reduces any vibration or harshness that you'll get from the rear brake pads. And then I'm gonna put anti-seize on these bolts. Just a touch, you know. Nothing crazy. And then here's a really important note about these, is the Subaru Field Service Manual says that the tightening torque for these calipers is 80 foot-pounds. That is not true. That's only for the WRX and Impreza. For these aluminum calipers that are manufactured by Brembo, the torque spec is 34 foot-pounds. If you do 80, you will rip out the threads. And if you look at the sub-model, so what Brembo sells privately to Subaru, the torque spec that they provide, that Brembo themselves provide, is 34 foot-pounds. So do not over-tighten these. You will strip them. That is what leads to a lot of the issues that you see when people have to helicoil the threads on their car. Right, so here I am. And it's kind of a dance that you got to do, because you got to line up 3 things at once. You got to line up the hole for the for this thing, and then you've got to line up the hole for the brake caliper and for the knuckle. So it can be a challenge, but you can get there. A second set of eyes would kind of help with this, I think. And for some reason, I find that it's a little easier to get the rear started first, but that might just be me. Yeah, so I didn't even get this on tight at all. That's my neighbor. He has a Mustang. It's probably V6. I think he's trying to show off for me. It's not working. This STI would smoke his Mustang. Jesus, dude, we get it. You drive stick. Oh, I think I got it. Nope, I didn't. Damn, these are tough to get in. I'm just proving to myself that I can do this. All right, I'm gonna struggle with this off camera. And next up, we're gonna install the front and rear brake pads. I've actually opted to do two things. I've opted to order a set of OE equivalent pads. These are ceramic brake pads from Brembo. They're low dust, they're low noise. They are expensive, but they're at a good price point. And I've also gone ahead and ordered a new set of the Hawk DTC 6 pads. I've used these on track several times. I've had no brake fade issues. They are actually pretty streetable. However, what I'm gonna do this time is I'm going to just swap these in for when I'm driving this car to work. And then once it comes to get down there onto the track, I'm gonna switch in these Hawk DTC 6s. And what you get in these Brembo brakes is kind of what you expect. The pads come with a nice little sticker, some assembly lube, which is great, and then we're just gonna check out what these look like. And you know, they're nothing special. You know, you see a little bit of you see like a wear indicator here, and yeah, nothing special about these. What's nice is they do have the wear indicator. My old pads did not. The DT6s do not come with them. You don't need them, but it's just nice to have. Now we're back on the rears. We're gonna install these pads. The nice thing about these is they really kind of only go one way. So you just kind of slide them in gently. If you didn't recompress your rear calipers, this will be tricky. One thing I like to do is I like to just get my old pad and try and get it to close up. And that should get you enough clearance to fit one of these in. And then you just drop it in like that. Very easy. And then you do the same thing to the other side. There are brake compression pads that you can use for this purpose. Or I guess there's a tool that you can use for this purpose, but I haven't used it yet because this gets me by just fine. You might want to use like a pry bar or something for this as well. Again, there's probably a better procedure for this, but you know, for what I'm doing right now and for what most people are doing, this is more than enough. Whoa. There we go, and that slides in. And just a quick word of advice. These are the slide pins that your pads ride on. It's a really good idea to just get some brake clean and scrub these off. They get pretty dusty from years of use. And when they get dusty like this and they get this grime on there, the pads don't slide on and off as easily, which then makes it difficult for your pads to engage properly, and you get what is known as like Brembo pad knockback, where you'll kind of go to step on the brakes and it'll make this tapping noise and you'll think that you have a clunk, but really it's just the pads kind of all of a sudden getting enough force to go all the way through. And so looping these up is actually a great way to do that, or a great way to fix that. And so just make sure to clean them. You don't have to go crazy. Just do your best. And I might actually even use the provided grease that Brembo gives you for these pads. See if that makes a difference this time around. Not sure if it will, but you know, it's worth a shot. So I'm gonna go ahead and put it in. And by the way, let me know if I'm doing anything wrong. You know, I'm not an expert. I'm just some person with a garage and a camera trying their best. So it could be that this shouldn't go on there and I'm actually causing more issues. I'm not putting a ton on because I don't want it to get on the rotor, but I feel like this is an appropriate amount. It's nice and slidey. I mean, that went on pretty easy. And then don't forget to put the pins in. This is what prevents your dowel pins, your slider pins from falling back out. And just kind of like a little PSA is I like to personally line these up first. And then put that locking pin in there. I always forget how this goes, but I think it goes this way. So I'm actually going to pull this slide pin out, just briefly, and then force this guy in. Oh, does it go this way? Yeah, it goes that way. And this kind of just provides a little bit of force on the pad so that they don't knock around so much. Pretty much what I was talking about earlier. And again, being mindful for serviceability. All right, so this is the rear's done. All right, we got a new rotor on there. We got new pads on there. These are street pads. And then we're gonna go switch over to the front, show you how that goes. And thank you for joining me at the front of the car. So same thing that we did before. We're just gonna compress those pads here if you haven't already. And these are a little trickier because they come in pairs, right? So these are 4-pot in the front. They were only 2-pot in the rear. So that made it a little tricky. And again, these go kind of only one way. So I might have to use my initiative here. Get a screwdriver to push this back in, and then try and drop this in here. The fronts are always a little tricky, but that's okay. That's kind of what makes it fun. Right, and so here we go again with the rears. Or I guess with the calipers. So you got to kind of compress each one, being careful not to mar the surface. And again, just being gentle and using your initiative. Remember when I was talking all that smack about how the Brembos are easier to do than most brakes? Yeah, I remember that. Oh, went too far. That's okay. Then same thing, you want to just clean these up, and I believe you might need to reuse, or you're not supposed to reuse the old hardware on these. I think you're supposed to get, like most brakes, new hardware every time. However, I've been reusing it and it's been fine, so I'm sure you can reuse it as well. And I'm gonna keep using this lube here because it actually seemed to be going in a lot smoother, and hopefully this will make it easier to remove in the future. Alright, so that's in. And then I'm just gonna loop this one up as well. I'm not using a ton, just a little bit. They give you 4 packets of this, or I guess 2 per each brake, so I don't think it's necessary to use all of them. Right, and then pretty sure same deal here. You just slide this clip in between the 2 caliper bolts. So there's the pin that you've just put into the brake is going to go through here, and then you're going to snake it in, and then you're going to push down such that the other one can also snake in. And then you're just gonna tap, tap, tap until you get all the way in. Again, making sure that you've aligned the dowels so that the pins can slide in nice and easy. Let's see if I did that. Honestly, I might have fucked it up, but that's okay. Yeah, I might need to rotate this with the pliers. Oh, okay. So maybe hack is yeah, use this lube, because that made the pliers, or that made moving the dowels a lot easier. All right, so that's in. And this one I'm gonna have to hammer in, I think. right, and so that's in. Nice and easy peasy. All right, that concludes episode 3 of this series. The only thing that's left for you guys to do is torque these down. Again, if you have a WRX, it is 80 foot-pounds. If you have an STI with the aluminum Brembo brakes, it is 34 foot-pounds. I'm gonna put the torque specs in the description down below. If you found this helpful, leave a comment below. If you found this entertaining or you want me to do something different, also leave a comment down below. And if I did anything wrong, please let me know. I'm gonna be tracking this car, so I'd rather find out now than later. But yeah, have a great day.